The application phase marks the beginning of every awards program, where applicants submit their entries or nominations for consideration. This phase has two main stages: registration, aka call for entries, and entry submission, which is when the applicants work on and submit their entries. These stages can overlap or occur back-to-back, depending on the submission method you choose and the nature of your program. And that's exactly what we're looking at in today's video. The first method we want to talk about is register now and submit later. Here, participants express their interest in the program by registering for it first, but they have the freedom to work on their entries whenever they want before the deadline. Ideally, they would be able to fill it out at their own pace and have the option to save their progress and resume later. This method reduces the pressure and offers flexibility. It can also lead to higher quality submissions, as it allows the entrants to fine-tune their answers. In the cases where the application period is a bit longer, we recommend taking advantage of automatic emails and reminders, as sometimes people can get caught up in their own things. Here at Evalato, that's the main method we recommend, as it is the most modern and user-friendly option. Next, we have the register and submit at once method, which is a bit more of an old-school approach in award programs. Here, participants complete the registration process and submit their entries simultaneously. This method can be quite uncomfortable for the applicants, as they must complete the registration in one go and have all of their information ready in advance. This would require them to work on the application beforehand outside of the submission platform, which is not ideal. Besides, depending on the software, their session could expire if they take too long to answer the questions, or unexpected errors may occur, forcing them to start the process all over again. Considering how frustrating that is, we can understand how a situation like this could discourage them from applying. And that's why we recommend for you to choose another method if your program allows it. And the last method you can choose is more dynamic, with the judges reviewing the applications at or right after submission. This specific type of submission mimics the approach of live contests like Eurovision. If you wish to create a similar experience for your program, we recommend using Evalato, where the applications of the entrants and the scores of the jury are all updated in real time. In addition, if you choose to use a modern solution like ours, you will have a few more options to choose from while you're setting up the submission process. For example, you'll need to decide if you want all the applications to be approved automatically or manually, as well as whether you'll permit your applicants to revise and edit their submissions. Now that we went through the main submission methods, let's explore paid awards in more detail, as they have an extra step for you to consider here. If your program has entry fees, you need to set up the payment process at this stage, and there are three possible scenarios: payment at registration, at submission, or after submission. Depending on your program's specific needs, one of these options may fit your awards better than the others, but our personal favorite is payment at registration. And that's because it's the best way to increase your submission rates while also maximizing your revenue. With the other solutions, people end up paying only for the submissions they have managed to complete by the respective deadline, if they make any submissions at all. But in the dynamic world we live in, sometimes things are left for the last moment. Then life happens, and many entries are never submitted, and by implication, never paid. On the flip side, in the case of payment at registration, your applicants technically own their unsubmitted entries, and they value them more because they have paid for them. So even if we put aside the cost of the entries as such, the perception of ownership will make your applicants submit. And if that's not enough to convince you, I'm going to share some Evalato compound statistics. Our software allows all three options: payment at registration, at submission, and after submission, which is why we have a unique point of observation on how they pay out in terms of submission rates. And here's the interesting part. The average submission rate when asking for payment at registration is 91.87%, while programs that require payment at submission stand significantly lower at 66.94%. And while no two programs are the same, this difference should be enough to convince you of how valuable this method is. We hope that after this video, you're able to easily choose the best submission method for your program. And if you want the setup to be as easy as possible and to have access to a next-gen solution that has all the necessary features to create amazing awards, the right platform for you is Evalato.